The unexpected alliance. The holographic display flickered as Captain Maya Rodriguez studied the battle reports from the front lines. Her office aboard the Earth Defense Station Artemis was Spartan. Just a desk, a chair, and the aging computer system that served as her window to the vast network of Earth's defense grid. As commander of 7th Fleet, Maya had grown accustomed to making do with outdated equipment. Her fleet was Earth's least prestigious, a collection of vessels that other commanders had deemed obsolete, crewed by officers who'd either fallen from grace or never quite risen to it. "Captain, there's an urgent transmission from Earth Central Command," her AI assistant chimed. Maya sighed, running a hand through her cropped gray hair. At 53, she was considered young for her position, but 2 decades of service in Earth's most neglected fleet had aged her beyond her years. "Put it through," she ordered. Admiral Hassan's stern face materialized above her desk. "Captain Rodriguez, we have a situation. A diplomatic vessel from the Thoraxian Collective has entered the Sol system. They're requesting immediate military assistance." Maya's eyebrows rose. The Thoraxians were notoriously isolationist, a species of arthropod-like beings from a distant arm of the galaxy. Their technology was rumored to be centuries beyond humanity's. "With respect, Admiral, what could the Thoraxians possibly want with our help?" "That's what you're going to find out. Their ambassador has specifically requested to speak with a fleet commander. You're the only one available." Translation: no one important could be bothered. Maya nodded, keeping her expression neutral. "I'll prepare for their arrival." 3 hours later, Maya stood in the station's reception chamber as the Thoraxian vessel docked. The ambassador that emerged was nothing like she'd expected. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, the creature resembled a praying mantis crossed with a lobster, its exoskeleton gleaming a deep iridescent blue. Multiple appendages clicked nervously as it approached. Captain Rodriguez, the translator device at its thorax hummed. "I am Ambassador Krikta of the Thoraxian Collective. Thank you for receiving me." Maya offered the customary bow of respect. "Ambassador, welcome aboard Artemis Station. How may Earth assist the Collective?" The ambassador's compound eyes shifted, refracting light in a pattern that Maya recognized as distress. "We face extinction, Captain. A species known as the Swarm has invaded our territory. They consume everything: planets, ships, people, converting all matter into more of themselves. Our most advanced warships are ineffective against them." Maya gestured toward the briefing room. "Please, show me what we're dealing with." The ambassador's data crystal projected a 3-dimensional image of the conflict. Maya watched in silence as sleek Thoraxian vessels, beautiful works of engineering, fired upon massive irregular structures that seemed to absorb the energy weapons without damage. The swarm ships resembled nothing so much as floating mountains of metal and stone, riddled with crater-like openings from which smaller craft emerged. "How many systems have they taken?" Maya asked. 5 already. We estimate they will reach our homeworld in 60 days. Maya studied the projections carefully. "And what exactly are you asking of Earth? Our technology is significantly behind yours." The ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly, their equivalent of nervous fidgeting. "We request military intervention. Any ships you can spare." "Ambassador," Maya said carefully, "Earth is still recovering from the proximal war. Our primary battle groups are deployed throughout our territories, maintaining peace. The fleets that remain are—" She hesitated. "Outdated. Yes, we are aware of Earth's military status," Krikta replied. "But your species has a reputation, Captain. You achieve victories when logic dictates defeat." Maya couldn't help but smile. "Is that what they say about us?" "It is what we have observed." The emergency council meeting lasted 6 hours. Earth's leaders were understandably reluctant to commit any forces to an external conflict when their own security remained tenuous. "The Thoraxians offer access to their dimensional folding technology in exchange for our assistance," Maya reported, standing before the holographic council members. "Such technology would advance our capabilities by at least a century." Fleet Admiral Tauvel scoffed. Captain Rodriguez, your enthusiasm is noted, but what exactly do you propose? We cannot spare any of our modern battlegroups. Maya straightened. I propose deploying 7th Fleet. A moment of silence, followed by uncomfortable laughter. 7th Fleet is a collection of museum pieces, Admiral Hassan said gently. Your flagship, the UES Dauntless, is 30 years old. 7th Fleet is operational, Maya countered. And we're stationed nearest to Thoraxian space. We can be there in 10 days using their dimensional folding technology. President Santos studied the holographic display of available forces. Captain Rodriguez, your fleet consists of 32 vessels, most over 20 years old. The swarm has destroyed hundreds of Thoraxian warships with significantly advanced technology. Maya nodded. True, Madam President, but there's something the Thoraxians haven't considered about human vessels. And what's that? Tauvel asked skeptically. Their analog. The Council voted 6-3 to approve the deployment, with 4 abstentions. Maya suspected the majority viewed it as a diplomatic gesture rather than a genuine military intervention, a symbolic sacrifice of outdated resources to maintain good relations with a technologically superior civilization. 2 days later, Maya stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless as the Thoraxian transport prepared to create a dimensional fold that would carry them across 500 light-years in an instant. Beside her, Ambassador Krikta watched with multiple eye stalks as the Galactic human fleet prepared for transit. Your vessels are smaller than I expected, Krikta observed diplomatically. Maya smiled. Old doctrine, different philosophy. Captain, I must ask, do you believe your fleet has any chance of success against the swarm? Maya turned to face the ambassador directly. Ambassador, humanity has a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When faced with overwhelming odds, we tend to get creative. The dimensional fold opened before them, a swirling vortex of space-time that would connect 2 distant points in the galaxy. Maya gave the order, and 7th Fleet entered the unknown. They emerged in the Thoraxian border system of Nexus 9, once a thriving mining colony, now a graveyard of shattered ships and stations. 3 massive swarm vessels dominated the system, each nearly 20 kilometers long, surrounded by clouds of smaller craft. They've detected us, reported Lieutenant Commander Ortiz. All 3 high ships are altering course to intercept. Maya studied the tactical display. Let them come. Deploy all ships in Harrier formation. Power all systems to maximum visibility. The 7th Fleet spread out in an aggressive stance, running hot, broadcasting on all frequencies. Ambassador Krikta's translator emitted a sound of distress. Thoraxian doctrine is to minimize detection signatures. Your ships are announcing their presence. Precisely, Maya replied. All ships begin electronic warfare protocols. Execute Operation Throwback. The ancient UES Thermopylae, a dreadnought from humanity's first expansion era, moved forward, its outdated engines glowing blue-hot. Its targeting systems locked onto the Lid swarm ship but did not fire energy weapons or mass drivers. Instead, it launched a barrage of nuclear-tipped missiles propelled by crude chemical rockets. Primitive kinetics, Krikta observed with confusion. The swarm's energy fields will. The missiles detonated 1,000 kilometers from the swarm vessel, creating precisely calculated electromagnetic pulses. The high shields flickered but held. Again, ordered Maya. All ships, coordinated salvo. 200 nuclear detonations bloomed in space, none striking their targets, all carefully timed and positioned. Krikta's appendages waved in confusion until the ambassador's monitoring equipment detected it. Quantum fluctuations in the swarm's shielding, microscopic breaches lasting nanoseconds. 7th Fleet specializes in electronic warfare, Maya explained. Most species build better weapons. Humans build better hackers. Through the fluctuations, microscopic drones, thousands of them, penetrated the swarm shields, carrying neither explosives nor weapons but information. Computer viruses evolved from Earth's digital arms race, refined through centuries of human versus human warfare. The swarm is a hive mind, Maya continued, a network. And all networks, no matter how advanced, have vulnerabilities. You've been fighting them with energy and matter. We fight with information. As the first day of battle ended, the swarm ships had begun to show signs of confusion, their movements becoming erratic, their smaller craft colliding with one another. The human fleet had suffered minor damage, but no casualties. Maya knew the real fight was just beginning. The swarm would adapt, as all successful predators do. But humanity's greatest weapon had always been its unpredictability, its willingness to try solutions that more advanced civilizations would consider primitive or absurd. As she watched the chaotic movements of the enemy ships on her display, Maya allowed herself a small smile. They had survived day one. Against all odds, 7th Fleet, Earth's least prestigious assignment, had found a weakness in the seemingly invincible enemy. Captain, Ambassador Krikta approached, mandibles clicking in what Maya had learned to recognize as amazement. I did not believe it possible. Ambassador, Maya replied, you're about to learn something important about humans. The more you tell us something is impossible, the more determined we become to prove you wrong. The improbable victory, dawn of the second day, brought no rest for 7th Fleet. The swarm had already begun adapting to the human electronic warfare tactics, developing primitive but effective countermeasures against the EMP bursts. Captain Maya Rodriguez had anticipated this. Evolution was, after all, the fundamental nature of war. They're learning, Lieutenant Commander Ortiz reported from the tactical station. The electromagnetic pulses are becoming less effective. Shield penetration is down to 28%. Maya nodded, unperturbed. As expected. Time to introduce Phase 2. She turned to Ambassador Krikta, who had remained on the bridge of the Dauntless, multiple eyes fixed on the battle displays with a mixture of hope and dread. Ambassador, I need to know, do the Thoraxians possess any quantum entanglement communication devices? The ambassador's translator hummed. Yes, but they are short-range only. Our long-distance communications rely on tachyon bursts. Perfect. That's what I was hoping for. Maya activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships. This is Captain Rodriguez. Commence Operation Radio Wave. Throughout the human fleet, communications officers powered up equipment that hadn't been used in decades. Radio transmitters. Simple, primitive technology that used electromagnetic waves to transmit information. Technology so ancient that no advanced civilization would think to defend against it. The swarm's neural network operates on quantum and tachyon principles, Maya explained to the confused ambassador. They're vulnerable to interference patterns they've never encountered before. From the 32 ships of 7th Fleet erupted a cacophony of radio signals, everything from classical music to military codes to random noise, all broadcast at frequencies that would interfere with the swarm's more sophisticated communications. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The smaller swarm vessels began to move erratically, some colliding with each other, others firing weapons at empty space. The larger high ships slowed their advance, their coordinated attack patterns dissolving into chaos. They're experiencing the equivalent of a migraine, Maya explained. Their neural network can't filter out our signals because they've never encountered them before. It's like trying to have a conversation in a room full of people shouting random phrases. Krikta's appendages clicked in amazement. You're attacking them with obsolete technology. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, Maya replied with a slight smile. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way during our own conflicts. As the swarm forces struggled to adapt to this new assault, Maya ordered the next phase of the attack. From the launch bays of 7th Fleet emerged hundreds of small, unmanned craft, drones that by galactic standards were practically antiques, operating on simple programming rather than artificial intelligence. Target their intake vents, Maya ordered. Those openings are how they gather material to replicate. If we can clog them with enough debris, we can slow their reproduction rate. The drones, carrying payloads of specially formulated adhesive polymers, swarmed toward the massive high ships. Unlike the Thoraxian vessels with their advanced targeting systems, these human drones were too small and too primitive to register as threats. They penetrated deep into the cavernous openings of the swarm ships before deploying their payloads, expandable foam that hardened on contact with the specific molecular structures of the swarm's biological components. Within hours, the massive intake systems of the swarm vessels began to clog and malfunction. Their ability to process new material, the very foundation of their expansion strategy, was compromised. It won't stop them permanently, Maya cautioned as her officers celebrated this small victory, but it buys us time to implement the final phase. The third day of battle brought a desperate counterattack from the swarm. Having partially adapted to both the radio interference and the intake blockage, they launched waves of assault craft against the human fleet. Several of 7th Fleet's vessels took heavy damage. The UES Marathon, one of the oldest cruisers in the fleet, was lost with all hands, the first human casualties of the conflict. Maya observed a moment of silence for the fallen before returning to the tactical display. They're adapting faster than anticipated. We need to accelerate our timeline. Prepare the Trojan horse. From the hangar bay of the Dauntless emerged a single transport ship, an unarmed vessel designed for planetary landings. It moved slowly toward the largest of the swarm high ships, broadcasting no signals, running with minimal power. "What is this strategy?" Krikta asked, mandibles clicking nervously. "Another old human tactic," Maya replied. "Named after an ancient story about a wooden horse used to smuggle soldiers inside an enemy city. The transport carried no weapons, no explosives, no conventional threat. Instead, its cargo hold contained a single device, a quantum resonance generator salvaged from a decommissioned research vessel. It had been modified by 7th Fleet's engineers based on data collected about the swarm's biological and technological composition. The swarm operates on principles of absolute efficiency, Maya explained. They incorporate any useful technology or biological material they encounter. We're counting on them to do exactly that with our gift." As predicted, the swarm high ship engulfed the human transport, drawing it into one of its processing chambers to break down and analyze. The moment the quantum resonance generator was activated by the swarm's own energy fields, it began emitting a precise frequency, one that matched the resonant frequency of the crystalline structures that formed the swarm's collective consciousness. The effect cascaded through the high ship like a wave, disrupting neural pathways, corrupting memory structures, and scrambling command hierarchies. Within minutes, the massive vessel began to turn against itself, weapon systems firing at its own structures, maintenance drones attacking vital systems. "It's working," Ortiz reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. "The high ship is self-destructing." The destruction of the first high ship created a chain reaction. The quantum resonance spread to the connected vessels through their shared neural network, carrying the corruption with it. One by one, the swarm ships turned against themselves, their perfect efficiency becoming their undoing. As the last of the massive high ships tore itself apart, a stunned silence fell over the bridge of the Dauntless. They had done the impossible. 7th Fleet, Earth's least prestigious assignment, had defeated an enemy that had overwhelmed the vastly superior Thoraxian forces. Maya was the first to break the silence. "Damage report." "We've lost 4 ships, Captain," Ortiz replied solemnly. "The Marathon, Perseverance, Endurance, and Resilient. 14 others have sustained significant damage. Casualty estimates stand at 178. Maya closed her eyes briefly. A victory, yes, but not without cost. Never without cost. Captain Rodriguez, Ambassador Krikta approached, the translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in the Thoraxian's clicking speech. "The collective is in your debt. You have done what our most advanced fleets could not." Maya nodded, her expression solemn. "We succeeded not because of superior technology, Ambassador, but because of something the swarm couldn't anticipate: improvisation. Humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to think laterally, to find solutions in forgotten places." In the weeks that followed, as Seventh Fleet worked alongside Thoraxian forces to eliminate the remaining swarm presence, Maya submitted her official report to Earth Command. Seventh Fleet engaged enemy. Casualties: 178 personnel. 4 vessels lost. Victory achieved not through superior firepower, but through humanity's greatest weapons: our history of fighting ourselves, our willingness to embrace the obsolete, and our fundamental understanding that evolution requires diversity of thought. The Thoraxian Collective later amended their Galactic database entry on humanity: never judge Earth vessels by their age or appearance. The humans weaponize obsolescence itself. 6 months later, as the newly promoted Admiral Rodriguez overlooked the construction of Earth's first dimensional folding drive, built with Thoraxian technology as promised, she received a message from Ambassador Krikta, now the Thoraxian representative to Earth. "Admiral, several species from the Galactic Council have requested meetings with Earth representatives. It seems your victory against the swarm has attracted considerable attention." Maya smiled. Humanity was about to take its place among the stars, not because they had the most advanced technology or the strongest weapons, but because they had proven themselves to be the most unpredictable, the most innovative, the most human. "Tell them we'll be happy to meet," she replied, "and suggest they bring their oldest technology. They might find we have some interesting ideas about how to use it." The universe, Maya reflected, was about to learn what the swarm had discovered the hard way: underestimate humans at your peril.